Hello everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. I'm finally back with my weekly wrap up. I kind of did, an end of the year type of wrap up, so it was a week and a half, and so I just kind of did another week and a half, but I will be back on my weekly wrap up schedule. So today I'm going to basically be going over all the books that I read so far in January, but from the 1st through the 11th. I believe, yes. So I have quite a bit of books to go over, and I don't want to make this video super long. I just filmed my best books of 2024, and that was a long video, so my voice is not feeling great right now. So let's try and make this quick if I can, because I have 12 books to go over. So let's get started with all my weekly reads. Okay, so I'm just going to get started because my throat is kind of feeling it. Sorry if it's not the best right now, but I did a lot of talking on my best books of 2024. So, and that will be coming. I think I'll be posting that either Wednesday or Thursday this week. So I'm so sorry it's taken me so long to get that filmed. But let's get started with this. So the first book that I finally finished it at the beginning of the month, and that was An Echo in the Bone. This is the, I believe, seventh Outlander book. I've been doing the read along that Jen from the Book Refuge is putting on. So I really went through it in this book. I think it was really well done. Most of the book I was like a 5-star, but there is something that happens near the end of the book that made me go, what the like, I was shocked. I was mad. I was like, and if you're up to date on the show, you probably know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to bring it up here because, again, this is the 7th book. I don't want to spoil things for you if you are reading the series, or if you are watching the show and you're behind in the show. I don't want to ruin it for you. But I will say that, there is a lot going on in this book. There's so many more POVs in this book. So there's a lot. We have, her daughter and Roger in a different timeline and stuff going on with their kids and like this, I think it was the 80s. And then you have what's going on with them, wars coming, all that kind of stuff. They want to go back to Scotland for reasons. A lot of stuff going on with Ian. Young Ian is like my favorite character. Like, he's become obviously Jamie's my favorite. He's always top book boyfriend, but young Ian really stole my heart even more in this one. So he was a big standout. So I probably should give it 5 stars, but I ended up being salty because of the ending when I gave my review, and I gave it 4 stars because I was just so upset and shocked with what Diana decided to do. So I won't go into it, and I'm keeping this brief because I have 12 books to talk about and I'm feeling it right now. So you can always go to Jen's channel and see the live show. I did show up late because yet again, my internet didn't work. Like, I don't even know if I'll be able to do it from home for this next week's live show for our buddy read, because the last few times I've been trying to do it at home, my internet is like never working because I have to use Verizon and we're in the middle of nowhere. So I'm just frustrated. So I showed up late and I felt really bad because Jen had to like wait for me to drive into town. Anyways, so you can go to her channel and see our full thoughts on it, because I think it was like another 2.5, almost 3-hour show. But Jen always does such an amazing job on those. I don't know how she can run it like that long. She does great, especially with so much stuff that goes on in these books. There's a lot to keep track of. So anyways, I gave this 4 stars. It's still really good. Honestly, it would probably be a 5-star if I wasn't feeling butthurt about the ending. Maybe if I reread it at a later date, I'd probably give it a 5. I don't know. Anyways. Okay, so then I listened to an ALC, and this actually ended up being our buddy read for this month. So I don't want to go too much into detail on everything in there. So make sure you watch our live show on Bookmark by Jen's channel on Sunday, the 19th, I think it is. So make sure you check us out there. But that was Forbidden Dreams by Natasha Madison. The first book in this series, Shattered Dreams, was literally a 6-star read. It blew me away. I didn't like this one as much. That one was just so well done, so angsty. It really put me through all the emotions. I liked this one a lot. I still liked it a lot, but it just didn't measure up to that first one to me. But it's still really good. This is between Brady and Harmony is a single mom. You'll see I read so many single mom books this week, like really a lot. So I don't know what's going on, but there was a lot of single mom romances. But she's a single mom. She just left her husband. He's part of that powerful family that was like ruining the heroine's life and her family's life, because Brady is the brother of that heroine from Shattered Dreams. And she actually is divorcing the husband, divorced him, and she's moving out with her kid. And so she ends up being neighbors to Brady. And Brady wants nothing to do with her. He's pretty like jaded and hates her because of what her family did to her, which is like her husband's family. But her ex-husband keeps showing up drunk and pounding on her door in the middle of the night. So he basically kind of steps in, and then he starts to kind of befriend her and her daughter. He also gives her a job at his bar and everything. So they're starting to be together more. And so they can't fight their connection. And that's all I'm going to say. I really enjoyed this. So, I'll give you my rating, I guess, because, I mean, you could literally see it. I already rated it because I had an ALC of it, but I did end up giving it 5 stars. So I did think it was a really good book. It just, the first one was so good, so good. This was narrated by Gregory Salinas and Savannah Peachwood, and it was a fantastic audiobook. Okay, so then I had another ALC, and this was Beautiful Crazy by A. James, which is Ashley James. This is the first book in the Blossom Beach series, and so this is another single mom one. So you're going to see this a lot. All right, so this is between Everett and Gemma, and Everett actually just moved to this small town, and he's going to be a teacher there, and he kind of runs into Gemma a couple times, and he's really smitten with her. He really thinks she's attractive, but she actually lost her husband a few years back, I believe it has been. He died in an accident. I believe he was like a truck driver. And so she's kind of not really got involved with anybody for a while, but they really like each other. Then she finds out that he's actually her son's new teacher. And I think they were neighbors too, because I had quite a few neighbor ones too. I believe they were neighbors, if I'm remembering correctly. But they basically decide to do like a friends with benefits type of situation, because she doesn't know if she's fully ready for like relationship and all of that. And he really steps up and like, is trying to be there for her kid and everything. So it was really sweet. But he wants more, and he wants to kind of slowly get her to see that they could be a lot more than just friends with benefits. Honestly, this was very low angst, very sweet. I had a couple very sweet low angst books that were kind of just nice, to get some easy breezy reads in. So I enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars and 3 chilies. There is quite a bit of spice in this one. I think they do like public play. They like get into a few different things. So it's a little spicier than I thought it was going to be, but I really did have a good time with it. This was narrated by Connor Craze and Samantha Brentmore. They are 2 of like my favorite narrators. So it was a fantastic audiobook. I flew through, I think in like 1 day. So it was definitely very good. Okay, so then I had another ALC. You could see I had a lot of ALCs this week. But I read Steal My Heart, and this is by Laura Pavlov. This is the first book in the Rosewood River series. And I just discovered Laura Pavlov last year when I got a couple ALCs for her Magnolia Fall series, and I freaking loved it. And this is actually the brother from one of the heroines in that series that I really loved. So this is between Easton and Henley, and Easton is a lawyer. He's a part of a firm. He's trying to like make partner soon. And Henley is actually the boss's daughter, but she's very smart. And, you know, I think she went to Harvard. I can't remember which school she went to, but she was like top of her class. She's very driven. And so she's kind of working under him. He's supposed to mentor her, and he kind of misjudges her right away, thinking, oh, it's the father's daughter. She's just getting preferential treatment, you know, and so he's kind of rude to her in the beginning, but then he sees how hard she works. She's always there as late as him. She's working her ass off. And so he feels pretty bad about how he treated her. So he kind of offers her like, hey, come help me play pickleball. We're down a person. And she comes to play pickleball. Sorry about that. Play pickleball with him and his like brothers and friends. And they start to like hang out, and he really is attracted to her, but he doesn't do relationships. He lost a girlfriend. And ever since that happened, he only kind of just does hookups. And him and Henley had such amazing chemistry. Their banter was on point. It was fantastic audiobook too. Like I was just falling for this couple so much. I loved how feisty she was, and he'd be like hot and cold and switching how he wanted to be with her but couldn't be with her and different things. And she's like, fuck off with your whiplash, dude. Like, I don't play games. And so she totally calls him out on his shit, and I really loved her. But he really wants to be with her, so they decide to make a go of it. And what I loved about this was, you know, the whole boss's daughter thing. You expect him to like want to keep it a secret. He did not want to keep it a secret. He wanted to tell her dad right away. And she was the one that wanted to keep a secret because she didn't want to be like the girl dating Easton at the office when people already view her badly because she's the boss's daughter. So there was a lot more to that. I did think that the reason I love this so much was it dealt with like kind of mental health. He has severe anxiety and kind of PTSD from losing his girlfriend way back. So he's very overprotective and has issues in like some major anxiety attacks. But he actually goes to therapy and is like actively works on it. So that's what I really loved about this, is how she went over that. I just love their banter, their connection, their chemistry. It was just so fun. I just really am falling for Laura Pavlov's writing. And so I gave this one 5 stars. I thought it was fantastic. It was 3 chilies. So definitely amazing. It was narrated by Connor Craze and Andy Arndt. So it was a fantastic audiobook, a great new start to the series. So I'm very excited to continue with that. Okay, so then I read an arc, and this was Filthy Savage by Lilian Harris. This is the 3rd book in the Savage Kings series. And this one is between, I think you say his name Fionn. I think I'm saying his name right because these are Irish names. So she does say it, I think, in the beginning of the book, but it's been a while, so I forgot. But I think it's Fionn. I may be wrong. But in this, we have Fionn and Amara. Amara is kind of at this nice hotel with her loser boyfriend and treats her like shit. She just like kind of find out he cheated on her. He's pretty abusive to her. He's talking down to her, like very over the top, like villainy type of douche boyfriend. And he's kind of grabbing onto her physically at this thing. And Fionn sees this, so he gets involved, and basically like he's very insta-lust into her. He's very into her. She's a curvy heroine. He's very into her curves. And he offers her a different suite to stay and asks her to go to his like brother's wedding. And so she ends up doing that. It's a big age gap. I think she was like only 19, I think, here. And I think he's in his late 30s. I can't remember. But so he was kind of worried about the age difference, but he couldn't stay away from her. So they end up having a one-night stand. And she gave him a fake name because she was like nervous about meeting this stranger. And so she kind of bounces in the morning, and he's like really pissed that she left. And so he ends up searching for her, but he can't find her because she gave him a different name. And what ends up happening is she does get pregnant. So this does have a secret baby, but it does it in a way that I'm okay with because she didn't know his like full name. She didn't know who he was. He couldn't find her because of the fake name. And so it wasn't like malicious or like hiding the baby. But what he basically searches her for years. I mean, he's obsessed with her. Like, it is a little over the top, but Lilian Harris does do that. It's like he's very obsessed, doesn't want to have sex with anybody else, is like searching for her for years. He's like obsessed from one night together. But anyways, and she actually, has the baby and is kind of struggling doing everything on her own. She came from a really abusive family life with her like drunk, druggy mom. And so she ends up being like, she cleans like hotel rooms at this one hotel, and he happens to be in this room when she was back cleaning it, and she basically witnesses him murder somebody in this hotel room, and she runs for it, and they basically are going to go, he's going to find her. He uses the cameras to find her. He's going to kill her. But lo and behold, it's the woman he's been searching for forever. And then he's even more surprised when he sees the kid and he knows that could be my kid. The thing is that she had sex with him pretty recently with her ex-boyfriend. So she doesn't know who the father is. The boyfriend never wanted anything to do with the kid or anything. So, but this guy is so obsessed. He's like, that's my kid. I don't even care if that's like not really my kid. That's my kid. And he basically forces her into a marriage because he does the excuse of she witnessed him a crime and the mob wouldn't let her live. And so he kind of forces her into this marriage. Really, he just wants her. And he also really wants to breed her again and get her pregnant again. So this is a forced marriage, Irish mafia type of thing. The thing that I had a good time with it. I love their relationship. There was some great spice. It was fun. It is, Lilian Harris does do over-the-top heroes like this, but what bothered me was the third act conflict. The suspense element is so over the top. I've noticed this in the last couple books that I've read of hers. That I haven't read that many of her books. But she writes an over-the-top villain kind of third act that like comes out of nowhere that it didn't need it. And it was so over the top, unbelievable that it basically like made me go, what the hell? Like, this is pointless. It didn't need to be in here. But I think that's something she does with all her books. I'm new to reading Lilian Harris, so I'm not positive, but it feels like this is her thing she does. So that really brought it down for me. I just couldn't handle the third act suspense thing. It's just stupid to me. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars and 3.5 chilies. Sorry, my voice is really tough right now. All right, so then I went on to another ALC, and this is Reckless Love by Willow Aster. This has not come out yet. I think it's coming out on the 16th, if I'm right. But this is the third book in the Single Dad Playbook series. I've loved this series. This one is a Friends to Lovers, and this is between Rhodes and Ellie. I really liked some parts of this, but this was not as good as the first 2 books to me. I do have issues with Friends to Lovers. But a lot of this was like told through flashbacks, and I didn't think the flashbacks were needed. Like, they were not needed. They didn't add anything to the story because we're already learning about that anyways. And the flashbacks were like constant, and it kind of took me out of like the current timeline. So what we have is Rose and Ellie. They met in college, and they really liked each other, but they basically made a pact to just be friends and not let anything come in between their friendship. And basically they've been pining for each other this whole time. I think it's like 13 years of a friendship. I'm not sure if that's correct, but now it's later in their life. He's a single dad, obviously, and he has his son that she's basically so like a mother figure to him. They're very close, but she's the cheerleader of the same team that he plays football for, and so they are not allowed to fraternize with the football players. But she's literally been friends with him since college. They're super close, but they can't really be seen in public together. And so they kind of are not together as much. And it's really like hard on them, especially because they kind of crossed the friend boundary one night, and he got her off. They were like making out, and he was very into it, and she freaked out and was like, oh, that can't happen. We can't ruin our friendship, that whole thing. So, but then she has her parents kind of getting involved, trying to push her back with her ex-boyfriend. And so she pretends like her and Rhodes are together and kind of makes her have to do this fake dating thing with Rhodes. And then he kind of moves her into his place because there's a creepy stalker, like weird guy that lives next to her. So I thought this was good. I felt like their friendship was very authentic. You really believe that they were really good friends, and I liked that. I just didn't like how much she constantly fought them being together. Like Rhodes told her multiple times he wanted to be with her, and she would never believe that he wanted to be with her, and just kind of kept like putting it down like they couldn't be together. And it just kind of got on my nerves. And then the constant flashbacks were just taking me out of the story. So I did still enjoy it. It was a really good audiobook. This was narrated by Sean Kristin and Angelina Roca. And I thought it was very well done. I just am very picky about Friends to Lovers, and I didn't love all the flashbacks. Honestly, they were not needed. So I ended up giving it 4 stars and 3 chilies. Okay, so and then I finally read a book, a duet that's been on my TBR forever. And I'm just going to bring them up together that I read these. I actually bought the audiobooks for these too. And I have this bind up of it, and it's the Anti-Heroes in Love duet. This is When Heroes Fall and When Villains Rise. And this is the duet by Giana Darling. And I'm so glad I finally read this because the heroine's brother is going to have a new book come out, and Giana's new releases this month. I got on her ARC team, which I was so excited. So I've literally had this on my TBR forever. I don't know why I haven't gotten to it till now, because this fucking blew me away. This was it's one of my favorite duets, one of my favorite mafia books. We have another prickly heroine that I just fucking loved. Elena was fantastic. She was such a interesting heroine that I could totally relate to. She has been through such hell in her life and some horrible things that I don't know if I can go back and read her sister's book, because that's like about her sister having an affair with Elena's boyfriend, fiance. And it just really hurt Elena so bad. She doesn't have a relationship with her sister. She feels like she's always second choice or like the backup choice. She just feels, really broke her heart. And so she was very closed off and, not a very loving person at this time. But she is so amazing. She is a lawyer. She's really worked really hard to get where she's at. And she basically is taking on Dante's case. Dante is in the mafia, and he is... Oh, sorry. I heard something in my house. Okay, so he is in the mafia, and this guy is so amazing. He's one of my favorite mafia heroes because he comes off very like cinnamon roll, sunshine. She's the grumpy, he's the sunshine. And he really just pushes her buttons and pushes past her boundaries. And she is basically taking on his case because he's very close to her other sister from like the Enslaved duet, which I still need to read that. But she ends up having to live with him too. Like he sets it up where she has to come live with him. So she's kind of in this forced proximity. They have amazing chemistry together. And so she's trying to get him off because he's up for, murder. And he actually didn't murder this person, but he's trying to protect her sister. And so she is his lawyer. So in the first book, that's kind of where we're at. And it leaves on a cliffhanger, but like where they're actually good, because Elena really falls hard for Dante, and her walls come crumbling down with this sunshine mafia man. And he gets her to see that things aren't always black and white. And there's, he's maybe a mafia man and done some horrible things, but he's such a good man. He's so loyal to the people he loves. And so she really falls hard for him. But things kind of go down at the end of that where he needs to flee. And so they're going to, in the second book, they are in Italy, and they are, doing things there to figure things out. So I can't really give things away because that would ruin the first book. But I will say the first book I gave 5 stars to. I thought it was fantastic. And then the second book, I gave 6 stars. It's my first 6 star of 2025. It's already a 6 star. I can't believe it. But I had to give it to it because I just loved them so much. I was highlighting like crazy, which I need to do that, add that to my book here because I did the Kindle and then I listened to the audiobook and I was highlighting at the same time. And just Dante is so swoon worthy. He's so gone for his woman. He supports her. He gets revenge for her. She really fights by her man. She becomes so strong. Elena's journey in this duet is so beautiful. I love seeing everything come to a great conclusion for her. Their HEA was just so beautiful. I love the epilogue in this, like everything. I mean, Elena and Dante are like one of my favorite couples now. Elena is one of my new favorite heroines. I just really connect to a prickly heroine, and she did this so well. So I gave that 6 stars. Sorry, I can't go into more detail on the second book, but I don't want to give anything away. But definitely highly recommend this duet. It's one of my favorites I've ever read. Okay, so then I read the arc I Had a Simple Life, and this was by Melanie Moreland. This was literally like a super sweet, low angst book. This is between John and Quinn, and Quinn moves to this small town. She's a single mom. We got another single mom, and she has a run-in with John, and she really, they have really good chemistry. He actually rescues her because these guys were like cornering her at like this carnival or fair type of thing. And he really likes her, but he gets a bad impression because he hears her talking to a guy on the phone and she was flirting with him. So he just jumps to the wrong conclusion that she's like married, because then he also finds out she has a kid. And he felt like, and he jumps to these wrong conclusions because he was cheated on and this girl was like a horrible, like, user. And so he did jump to the wrong conclusions, but he does learn, her situation, but he just kept putting his foot in his mouth in every interaction. She ends up being one of his tenants because he actually has his own farm that he runs, but he also owns a bunch of buildings and he helps does repairs and is very good, like, landowner or whatever. And so she ends up being one of his tenants, and he starts to get close to her and her kid, and he really just falls for her, and they start, a relationship. So honestly, it's so low angst, very easy breezy. There's just that conflict in the beginning of him being a grump and an asshole to her that they have to overcome. She opened up like a restaurant in town, and he was like, I'm never eating at your restaurant, because the previous owner was like somebody special to him. But he quickly goes to the restaurant and realizes she's a phenomenal cook and amazing woman. And so they start their relationship. So honestly, this was very low angst, very cute. So I gave this one 4 stars and 2.5 chilies. Okay, so the next book that I read was the first book in the Immortals After Dark series that I'm reading, which was kind of a prequel. I don't know if you're meant to read this first, but that's what I did because that's what it said on the site. But I think the Fated Mates podcast or whatever said to read it in a different order. I don't know. If you don't know, I'm doing the Immortals After Dark series read along. I'm going to read the entire series this year. I have a Discord available. I'll have that linked below if you want to check out my Discord so you can join and chat. And it's not just Immortals After Dark. You can join it for other things too. I'm not going to go too into this because I am going to be having a live show. I'm not sure if I should do it the last week of January or the first weekend of February. I'm still figuring that out, and I don't even know if anybody's going to join me for that first show, but we'll see how it goes. So this is The Warlord Wants Forever. It's just a novella. I didn't go in with high expectations because it's a novella. That's really hard to do world building and set up stuff in that. This is a romance between Nikolai and Mist, and he is a vampire. She is a Valkyrie. I thought the world building was okay. I was confused by certain elements, but it had me intrigued. I like the vampire setup of like the blooding and how they can't really, once they find their mate or their bride, that's when they can actually be sexual again and their heart starts. So I thought all of this stuff was very interesting. I just didn't love the heroine. And there was just some issues that I had with it. But I am not going to go into those here because I want you to actually watch my live show. So I will tell you, I kind of settled on a 3.5 rating on this because it just had some missing stuff and it wasn't the best, but it's a novella. Like, that's kind of what I was expecting. So anyways. So then I had an ALC of Sometimes You Fall by Harlow James. This is my first time reading this author. This is the third book in the Carrington Cove series. So we have this between Grady and Scotty. And guess what? She's a single mom. I don't know why there were so many new releases of single moms this week. It was crazy. So in this, I don't think this is released yet. Sorry. This is coming up. This next week is releasing. I believe on like the 17th. But Grady and Scotty knew each other in high school. They were really good friends. They both played baseball, type of stuff. But they kind of fell off from talking to each other because they go to college. He actually ended up going to the MLB. He was a pro pitcher, but he had an injury. And so now he had to move back home to a small town. And he kind of doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. They're trying to get him to coach the high school team, but he doesn't know if he wants to do that. Scotty returns home for just a visit, and they kind of quickly acknowledge that they had always kind of liked each other and they have a one-night stand. But she leaves in the morning. He wanted something more, and he was kind of devastated because she just left without saying goodbye or anything. But she was married and she was getting she was divorced. And she ends up moving back home a couple months later with her teen son. And her son makes things even more complicated because her son breaks into his, he owns a mechanic shop, and he did damage to one of the vehicles. And so that's when they run into each other again with that whole situation. Plus she's pregnant. So we have a surprise pregnancy here. So she tells him right away though, which I liked. And so he really wants to be with her, and he wants to be a father, and he was very swoon-worthy. She frustrated me because she pushed him away throughout most of this book, and he was so on top of things, wanting to be a good dad, wanting to be there. He was reading baby books, buying stuff already for the baby, wanting to set up the nursery, and she was getting irritated that he wanted to do that. She just rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. She pushed him away so much when he was trying so hard to be there for her. So that's kind of what was a little tough with this. I did love him building a relationship with her son because he ends up being the coach of his high school team. And so he becomes a good mentor for him and everything like that. So other than her frustrating me, it was very sweet and a quick read. So this was narrated by Sebastian York and Samantha Brentmore. Both did a fantastic job. So I ended up giving that one 4 stars and 2.5 chilies. Okay, last one here, you guys. My voice. I read the arc for Emperor of Havoc by Jagger. This is, I think it's the final book in the Memento Mori series, which is a Yakuza Mafia series. I've loved every book out of this series. Honestly, it's been fantastic. I was kind of annoyed because it was another CNC situation, and I felt like Jagger Cole has really been leaning on you doing the CNC in a lot of his books. But it actually didn't have it so much in this, and there was a lot more to the story that I ended up loving it. This is between Takeshi and Katarina. And Katarina, we were introduced in the previous book. She is actually a mute daughter of one of their rivals in the Ishidi Kai, and he is they're kind of both in the same area now, fighting for power. So they're kind of in a power struggle, and she actually needs to get married. She's second in line when her dad's sick, and so he needs to set things up for her, and he wants her to get married even though she's going to run his the Ishidi Kai. She still has to get married because they're very old-fashioned. Not everybody would listen to her, even though she would be the one running everything. And so he's kind of trying to get her set up in a marriage, and Takeshi basically shows up with the head of their enemy and basically says, I want to marry your daughter. That way it can bring the Mori Kai and us together, and we won't be at war. But he has a secret motive, and that's he wants revenge against her father because he thinks he killed like one of his mentors, like somebody that was a really close friend and helped guided him, because he's kind of been seen as a psychopath and like very, chaotic and, no impulse control, those type of things. He's a psycho. And so this guy actually helped him, be able to handle those kind of urges. But he actually also already knows Katerina because they had almost hooked up from that dating, like matching kink site app that's been involved in this series, because she is into CNC. She was a virgin, but she wanted to do that. Things didn't fully happen, but he knew who she was. And so she's just like horrified. She doesn't want anybody to know. But now she's going to be in this arranged marriage with him. And he is just kind of taking things over. So I really love this. There was such good spice in this. As always with Jagger Cole, it's hot. But what I will say, what's better in this series than the last series is that he does show an emotional connection and actually has them really spending time together, getting to know each other. They connect in deeper levels. So it's not just all based off sex, which was my complaint in his previous series. So I really loved this. There are so many twists and turns. I love the mafia politics that he does. He does mafia stuff so well. There's always a third act suspense element that keeps you on the edge of your seat. The twists and turns, the twist I didn't see coming. So I literally finished this in a day. It was so good. I couldn't put it down. So honestly, like I gave this 5 stars. And then I gave it 4 chilies because it is spicy. There's butt stuff. There's public play. There's lots of stuff going on. It's spicy. So 5 stars. Had a great time with that one. Okay, guys. Sorry I kind of rushed this, but my voice is killing me. I've had it for the day. Thank you so much for watching this. As always, I appreciate you supporting me. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment down below. Let me know, what your favorite book of the week was or how you feel about any of these books. And I will see you guys on the next one.